All right, so let's go ahead and get started. I want to introduce myself first. My name is Megan Lengyel. I'm the Chief Academic Officer here at Kolbe Academy. My husband and I live outside of Atlanta, Georgia, and we have 4 children. 2 of our children, our 2 oldest, who are boys, are enrolled at Kolbe Academy as 9th and 7th graders. And this is our first year actually doing the online school ourselves. But I have been working for Colby for almost 18 years. I started as their math and science curriculum coordinator, as well as an academic advisor for many years. And then I helped to get the online school off the ground in 2013. So I'm very excited to be here and to have all of you here. And also excited to be able to share some of my own personal experiences with using the online school as from the parent perspective. So in today's presentation, I'm going to talk a little bit about the program in the first part, well, a lot about the program, and then I will cover the curriculum that we use in our courses, and then go over enrollment options. So, and this presentation is specifically going over our 6 through 12 online program. If you're interested in the K through 5 online program, there is going to be another presentation at I think it's at 1 p.m. Eastern, so about 2 hours from now. Although I can answer some questions about that if they come up. All right, let's start with a prayer. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit, amen. Come, Holy Spirit, fill the hearts of your faithful, and kindle in them the fire of your love. Send forth your Spirit, and they shall be created, and you shall renew the face of the earth. O God, who by the light of the Holy Spirit did instruct the hearts of the faithful, grant that by the same Holy Spirit, we may be truly wise and ever enjoy his consolations. Through Christ our Lord. Amen. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Okay. And I'm happy to answer questions as we go along, but I'll also make sure that you guys have an opportunity to ask questions at the end. So, I may end up answering questions kind of as we go. All right. St. Maximilian Kolbe was a saint of the modern era. He embraced modern technology with print and radio to reach his audience. So Kolbe Academy, like our namesake, is rooted in tradition and yet relevant to the world today. We seek to harness the power of technology to offer a truly Catholic, classical, and flexible education. If St. Max were still here today, we believe he would be using the power of the internet and social media to continue reaching his audience and extend his reach. Colby was first founded as a day school in 1980 by 3 families who experienced firsthand the rapid decline of the public school system and who were looking for a wholesome, academically challenging environment. The founders anticipated the need to form young Catholic citizens who could effectively defend their faith with a thorough understanding of doctrine and regular reception of the sacraments. They also foresaw the growing need for better, more individualized and intensive instruction in basic education. Kolbe Academy is a mission-driven organization. We are here to provide affordable, flexible, and academically rigorous Catholic education throughout the world. With salvation as the ultimate goal, our educational programs allow parents to tailor the formation of each child in the Catholic tradition with a classical curriculum and approach. So it didn't take too long before those families who lived close to or too far away from our day school out in Napa to ask for help from the teachers with homeschooling their children so they wouldn't have to commute and using the same curriculum as the day school. And it was from those first requests in 1989 that our homeschool program was born. We, of course, have grown quite a bit since then. We offer a full traditional homeschool program for grades K through 12 now, and an online school for those same grades, K through 12. We service over 2,500 students and graduate about 200 seniors annually. And our students have been accepted to every college really under the sun, anywhere from the service academies to our highly selective schools, state schools, and that sort of thing. They have outstanding SAT and ACT scores after going through our program. In our online school, we have over 70 teachers on staff and over 1,000 online students. About 800 of those are taking full-time online courses. In our traditional homeschool courses, Colby offers everything needed to educate at home, such as textbooks, course plans, tests, answer keys, and grading services. In our self-paced courses, students will watch pre-recorded video classes and then follow our online course plans to master each subject at their own pace. And in our live online classes, students learn in a virtual classroom among peers with a live instructor who facilitates discussion, lectures, and grades the coursework. And so students who are enrolled with us can blend these different formats. So we have several students that will take 3 or 4 online classes, 1 or 2 self-paced, and maybe a homeschool course, or vice versa. Sometimes they are more homeschool course heavy, and then they take 1 or 2 online courses. So it uses the same curriculum across the different formats. And so it's really great that our families can kind of choose the formats that work best for their students. So I'm going to talk mainly about the live online courses, although I can answer questions about the other formats if you want. Our live online courses provide that structure and accountability, but it uses the same classical approach as our traditional homeschool courses. The students will meet live with their peers using the Adobe Connect platform at a set time once or twice a week for the full school year. Our instructors will post assignments with due dates, they hold discussions, and they grade the student work using the Schoology platform. Schoology is a learning management system. Our courses begin in mid-August and they follow a typical school calendar. We schedule those classes Monday through Thursday, so Friday is a free day in terms of no live class scheduling, although assignments can still come due on Friday. At the end of the school year, the grade is reported by the teacher, so it's a fully teacher-reported, accredited course. And we offer online courses in all the subject areas for 6 through 12, including honors and select AP classes. One of the greatest benefits of having your child in an online class is the teacher support you're going to receive. Since the classes are all online, communication with the teacher, except on a rare occasion, is done over email versus on the phone. Of course, there's communication that happens through the Schoology platform and also in Adobe Connect during live class. We require our teachers to check and respond to email Monday through Friday. Many of our teachers hold additional office hours or study sessions around exam time so that they are more available to students. Probably the biggest difference between our online courses and our traditional homeschool courses or self-paced courses is that you do have somebody setting the due dates, the assignments, and setting the pace of the course. Excuse me. So another really great benefit to having your child in an online class is that the teacher is going to be there to support your child throughout, that entire class during the school year. And on top of that, hold on one second. Oops. Sorry, my screen just went blank for a second. I don't think it did for you guys though. I think it's still fine. Okay, so to aid students in preparing for the online environment, we have a couple of programs designed to help foster student success. Every summer, we'll offer a wide variety of courses, including a number of study skills and supplemental courses, such as grammar boot camp, composition boot camp. We have a lot of math readiness courses. And then the weeks leading up to the start of the school year, we require that students complete a full orientation course, which will give them familiarity with Colby's policies, the Schoology platform, and our Adobe Connect software. And then during the school year, Colby provides live support via our academic advising office and our live chat system. We also have a dean of students that we have one that's dedicated to 9 through 12, one that's dedicated to 6th through 8th graders, and then one that's dedicated to K through 5. And those are to help with, if there's a behavioral issue that comes up in class, academic honesty, or just general learning need that might come up in the online classes. We have a system of support for our families and somebody to talk to if that happens. And a little bit more on our academic advising office. So every family, when you enroll full-time with Colby, you're assigned an academic advisor for your family. And those academic advisors are available to you to help guide you to select both the best courses for your child when you're first enrolling, but also offer support during the year as well. Basic guidance if you might need to change the format of your class. Maybe you decided to do 5 online classes and 5 might have been a little too much for your student. You could change one of those to, say, a homeschool course, so they can consult with you on those types of things throughout the school year. Oh, and I didn't mention the homeroom class. Sorry about that. So the homeroom class is a supplemental class that we offer. It's by grade level, and it meets once a week with a teacher. And the first half of the class is dedicated to covering study skills. So, you might talk about time management, note taking, general organizational ideas and that sort of thing to get students going and getting their study skills to improve. So that's like the first half of the class. The second half of the class is dedicated to it's a study hall that the students can work together on homework or projects. It's also a way just for community building, just kind of like study hall would be in a brick and mortar school. But during that study hall time, the homeroom teacher is rotating through the students and meeting with them to go over like learning goals, personal goals, that sort of thing. Just doing a check-in to have something there for the student to, another teacher to talk to, kind of see how the grades are going, that sort of thing, kind of like a guidance counselor. And they'll meet with the student, they aim to meet with the student 3 to 4 times a year, just as they rotate through that whole homeroom class. Catherine, I see your question. Will academic advisors support accommodations for a student with dyslexia and dysgraphia? That is a really good question. We do offer the ability to do some accommodations in online courses. So when you apply, you indicate that you have a student with special learning needs. And when that happens, they'll talk to you more in depth about what kind of accommodations you're looking for and whether we can do those within the online environment. So I know for sure that depending on how severe the dyslexia or dysgraphia is, there are several accommodations that can be made for those students. And also, like, it kind of, as you go with grade level, it changes a little bit. So very good question. I'm sorry, I'm trying not to like cough into the microphone. All right, so obviously to be successful in online learning, there's a couple of things that can be really helpful. Good time management skills, good study skills from the get-go would be wonderful. Some independence and that maturity level to kind of take their education into their own hands, and then being technologically inclined with good typing skills. We recommend around 30 words per minute when you're coming in as a 6th or 7th grader. However, we've had students come in with much less than that, and they're fine. They pick it up pretty quickly. Of course, this is the dream, right? Like good time management, good study skills. Well, I have a 7th grader who has done just fantastic in the online school, but I've had to be a little more proactive with him to make sure he's, getting his homework done. He's had to learn a couple hard lessons where he's had to get up at like 5 in the morning to do homework because he, didn't use his time wisely the day before. So, and both of my children are taking 7 online classes, which is a lot. I don't recommend that for most people, but they came from a brick and mortar school previous to that was very academically rigorous. So they were used to being in school all day and having homework when they came home. So I would say that now they have they're not in school all day for sure. They don't have classes on Friday. They generally start class around 9 and they're usually done before 3. And then usually they can fit in homework in between. And if they actually use their time really wisely, they probably could have the whole day off Friday, but most of the time they spread their work out a little bit over the course of the week. The 9th grader definitely has a lot more work. There's a lot more paper writing. But my 7th grader could be done with his work fairly easily without even having to pick up a pencil or a pen over the weekend. So it just kind of depends on the student. However, again, back to that good time management and study skills, your child best. If you go into this with a student that needs a little more guidance, just know that you're going to need to facilitate a little more than maybe another student that is a little more independent. As far as your family being ready for online learning, I highly recommend that each student has their own computer. Unless they're each going to take like one online class or something like that, it really can get tough, like sharing that, because they not only are they on there for their live class, but they have to turn homework in. And so they'll need that computer commitment. Study space. This one's a tough one for us large Catholic families. You know, if you're homeschooling everybody at home, finding a quiet space for them to work can be difficult. We also have a no devices in the bedroom rule at our house, so it's an additional challenge. We're blessed. We have a basement. I have an office that is also the homeschool room, and so generally that's where my kids are doing their work. But sometimes, you know, if they have a particular class that they know they're going to be on webcam a lot, they're going to be on mic, sometimes they'll take it to the kitchen table, or they take it to the dining room table, or sometimes outside to just get that quieter space on occasion. So the other thing I'll mention is there is a lot of work that is done off of the computer. So, you know, like especially in ninth grade, theology, history, and literature are more reading heavy. So there's a lot of things that they're doing, you know, in an actual book and not on the computer. So they can take that and take that to their room or somewhere else that's quiet. So, okay. Let me get to the next slide here. So helpful supplies, excuse me. So we've got both required equipment and helpful supplies. I already talked about the laptop. They're also going to want a headset of some kind. Webcam, we do require students are on webcam on occasion. Sometimes it's once per class, sometimes it's the entire class, sometimes you won't have a class where you're on webcam. It's not the same as, you know, if you've done online learning at a brick and mortar school that tried to bring the school online during COVID. We do not have our kids just kind of sitting on webcam just for the fun of it. If they're using webcam, it's for a very intentional activity, but we still do require that so that they can engage in that. And part of the classical methodology is to incorporate oral presentation and that sort of thing. So we do feel that that is part of the gig, if you will. You'll need a printer, a working printer, which is the death of me all the time at my house. I always have to send things to my husband to print. For some reason, my computer does not like to print things. Either a digital camera or a scanner. So what I've done to make it easy is my kids don't have phone. Well, I take that back. My ninth grader has a phone, but it's never charged. So anyway, they use my phone to take pictures of the work. So for example, their math assignments where they're going to use, pen and paper. They'll take a picture, they upload it to their Google Drive, and then on their computer, they can just import it right into Schoology. So it connects with Google Drive. So it makes it pretty easy. You don't have to get anything fancy. Literally we use Google Docs along with my iPhone's camera. So, and that's it. I do have some people that use Cam Scanner and some other programs like that. Cam Scanner now has like ads, and there's some other things that have come up with it that don't make it the most ideal program to use, but there's a lot of ways to do it. Highly recommend high-speed internet. That's become less and less of an issue over the years. There isn't much internet out there now that isn't high speed, but satellite, if you do live rurally, you may want to test out, what kind of, how much internet you need, especially if you have multiple children doing classes at the same time. At my house, we have Comcast. It's pretty good, but I can have my two kids on, plus I'm in a Teams meeting and maybe in another Adobe Connect meeting, we don't have a problem. So it's been fine. Jessica, that's a really good question. So if they're full-time online and they're taking about 6 online classes, so my kids are actually taking 7 online classes, and I will tell you their schedule. So first of all, math, science, and foreign language meet twice a week for about an hour and 5 minutes each time. And then literature, history, and religion meet once a week for an hour and 20. And then we have a couple of exceptions. So English in middle school meets twice a week. So English grammar meets twice a week for an hour and 5 each time. If you do classical comp, which is kind of like an elective course, that meets once a week for 1 hour and 20. So if you build the schedule together, so even with 7 classes this year, my 7th grader on Mondays has 2 classes. And then on Tuesdays, he has 4 classes in a row. So that's his heavy day. He's got, on Tuesday, he's got religion at 9, and then at 10:30, he has Latin. Then he has like a 25-minute break, and at 12:10 he has history, and then at 1:40 he has English. So that's his heaviest day. And then on Wednesday he has literature at 9, and then math at 10:30, which he also has on Monday, and then science at 1:40 on Wednesday, which he also has on Monday. So on Monday he just has those 2 classes, and then on Thursday he has homeroom at 9 a.m. and then Latin at 10:30 and then English at 1:40. So he has a lighter day on Thursday compared with Tuesday. So it just kind of depends on how you build your class, but so you're definitely in a lot. You're probably online a good bit more than in the K-5 program. But it's still a very manageable. It's not like, when these brick and mortars brought online school in where you're sitting in class from 8 to 3, right, on Zoom. So it's definitely not that. But it'll be a little more than what you're used to in 5th grade. And, you can look at that and go, you know what, I think we're only going to do 5 because I want them to not be online as much. And you can do like self-paced or homeschool for the other courses. Cynthia, that's a great question. So we actually have 6 periods. The first one is next year, we're actually moving it up a little bit. So the first period is at 8:30 a.m. Eastern. But if I offer anything in that period, I have another section of it in a later time so that a Pacific timer wouldn't have to get up that early. Although I do have Pacific timers who will still get up that early anyway, because they like to finish their day early. But then our last period of the day is it starts at 4 o'clock, I think, or 4:15 Eastern, which is 1:15 Pacific. And so, I'll have classes that have multiple sections. I usually have some sort of offering that, Pacific time people can always find a schedule that kind of works for them in your normal time zone. Lydia, that's a really good question. So I assume you're referring to high school. I do have the diploma requirements. So I will, at the end of the presentation, I am happy to go over the diploma requirements for anybody that wants to stay on and listen to those. So I have those as an extra slide. And I'm happy to talk to you about my own experience too in picking courses for my children. I like to keep them busy. I work full time. And so having them doing classes and having a lot of work to do is a good thing. But it really just depends on, kind of your homeschooling personality, and if they have any other outside, courses or something. Some people do a course here or two at the co-op or in another venue. Okay. One other thing I just wanted to mention on this slide, well, a couple things. So first of all, when you sign up with Colby, you get Microsoft Office for free. So you can download that on up to 5 devices per account. So like each student will get their own Microsoft email account. And if you're in 6 through 12, email is turned on. K through 5, we do not have email turned on for obvious reasons. But you can use that account to download Microsoft 365 on up to 5 devices. So that's really nice. You don't have to worry about getting that, in other words. I put textbooks, no e-readers on here. E-readers are a problem for following along with school. So like, yes, you can get the Iliad on a Kindle, but the way that those work is if you've ever used a Kindle, it'll tell you you're 50% of the way through the book. There's no page numbers. So it can be difficult to follow along during class. Plus they're on the computer so much, like have them actually using physical books where you can. I think that's really important. And plus we like our students to like make annotations and notes and stuff in their books. I tell my children, please, please, please write in your books. And they're like, and when they're at brick and mortar school, you are not allowed to write in your books, but for me, it's so important that they take notes and they point out important things as they're going through. And yes, his brother will see those notes later, but I mean, that can't hurt. So, and then notebooks, pens, pencils for each class. It's kind of funny that I put this on here, but I do it to remind myself to say, taking notes is really important on pen and paper, with pen and paper, because studies have shown that writing things down helps your brain remember it more. So if they're typing on the computer, their notes are not going to remember it as much as if they're actually writing it on a piece of paper. So just wanted to point that out. Okay, let me move along here. So one thing to emphasize is that, excuse me, our teachers really want to work with the parent as a team. And I don't mean that, you're meeting with the teacher once a week to go over your child's plan, right? No, that's not really what it is. But, if a teacher emails you with a concern, that you're just kind of on top of it and like, okay, let me work with my kid to get this going. Checking in on, what's coming up with the assignments, checking their upcoming feed. I actually use the incognito browser, and I have my kids' logins, and I just log in, and because I like to see it from their view. There's a parent login, you can use that. I just don't find it as, I don't know, useful as just logging in as my kids to kind of see what's going on and look at their grades and that sort of thing. Teachers give so much feedback, and I think our kids miss a lot of that feedback because they don't drill down to look. And that's something I've worked with our teachers on. Like, you need to incentivize the students to go in, like even if it's during mic checks, like right leading up to the beginning of class, hey, I finished grading your papers, go in, look at my feedback. That way they just know it's there. Jessica, that's a good question. So that is a big difference between the K-5 program and 6 through 12. So in the K-5 program, there's a lot less teachers working together. So like in 5th grade, there's really 2 teachers, 2 homeroom teachers that do all of the subjects. So there's not a lot of coordination that needs to happen. And so they put out something called the Week at a Glance. It's a document that just kind of says, here's what's coming for next week. So when you graduate to 6th grade, the teachers are hired based on specialty, right? So there's the math teacher, there's the science teacher, foreign language, et cetera, et cetera. And so to coordinate all of them together is a little more difficult. The other thing is that students pick their own schedule. So we don't have like a homeroom where like this subset of students is taking all the same classes. So, however, teachers do post very much ahead of time what the expectations are. So for example, they are required at the end of class to tell the students exactly what is due before next class. Okay, so when my 7th grader goes to his History 7 class, he attends. At the end of class, Mr. Wilkinson has a slide that says, next week, you're going to read chapter 8 and you're going to do the reading guide questions. Now, he might not have the reading guide questions there at that point, but he'll post them on Schoology in the next day or two. But that way my son could, in theory, write down in his planner, which he doesn't do, but I'm on him for, chapter 8 and reading guide. So anyway, and the other thing I'll say is the teachers basically follow the same pattern week to week, right? We really encourage them to do that. Sometimes there's a holiday or something that trips it up, right? But I pretty much know what my son is going to have for homework every week. Occasionally there's a project, there's always going to be like little exceptions or whatever. But I always know he's going to have a reading guide and some sort of history reading to do. So that's a Tuesday. He gets that and it's due the following Tuesday when he has class the next time. Math is a little different. The classes that meet twice a week are a little different because they meet more frequently. So, for math, the math department's general philosophy is they want you to be doing a little bit of math every day. So they'll have an assignment on days that you don't have math. So if you have a Tuesday, Thursday math class, you're probably going to have a small assignment Monday, a small assignment Wednesday, and a small assignment Friday. Now, those are still given to you ahead of time, so you could work ahead. But the idea is they're due kind of on those days where you don't have math to kind of force the students to practice that math, as they go along. which is good pedagogy for math in particular. And then, foreign language, I would say in general, foreign language, there's 2 assignments a week. One, my son's got class Tuesday, Thursday. He gets one on Tuesday that's due Thursday. He gets one at the end of the day, Thursday, that's due the following Tuesday. So, one assignment he has to do a little more quick turnaround, and the other one he has a little bit longer to do. So such is life. So that's kind of how it works in 6 through 12 compared with K through 5. Okay. Anyway, so back to the teacher role and parent role. Probably the biggest parent commitment, I would say, other than just, encouraging your student and being there to help when they might need it, is proctoring exams. Now, proctoring exams doesn't mean you need to sit next to them and kind of like watch over them. But the way I do it is you have to be in the same household, and it honestly can be anybody that's like over the age of 18. So like a college age sibling would be fine. But you have to kind of know if is it open book, are they allowed to use a calculator, that kind of thing. So you'll view that, and you just have to kind of be popping in on them once in a while. So they know you could come in at any time and see what's happening. So a lot of times I'll have my kids' desks are like right here. You can't see it, but they're not in here right now. I kicked them out for the webinar. But so when they take an exam, like I'll have them do this. I might be in a meeting or just doing work, and I can look over and see what's going on at any time. I have, I'll just tell you the story twice. My 7th grader has said, oh, I have a test and it's due tonight at midnight. And it's like Friday night. And like, I'm about to head out to dinner with my husband, which I've been looking forward to all week. And he's like, Mom, I need you to proctor a test. And I could just wring his neck. So I'll sit there and proctor it with like steam coming out of my ears. And, part of it is like, if I'm not checking in on him and his workload, like sometimes he doesn't realize, oh, Mom really needs to be there for this amount of time. I should probably do that Friday morning, not Friday at 8 p.m. at night. Also not good to take tests at night if you can avoid it. So you can see that, like, when you have a lot of classes and mom's working and all these things, like sometimes that stuff is going to happen. And some of it's me, some of it's him, but we're working on it. But generally it hasn't been a big deal with proctoring. You can pop in and out. Okay, let me go on to the next slide. I could talk on and on and on about our experience, so don't let me get too distracted, but also feel free to ask me questions if you have any from the parent perspective. One thing that Colby is just really, really great about compared with other online schools is the community piece. We really offer a lot of clubs that students can join. And I really encourage you, if you decide to do Colby, that you sign them up let them be a part of a club. It really is a great way for them to get involved. And it's so funny how the students really find their way around the community, and, they connect with each other. A lot of them, you can get parent permission to exchange email addresses, and then they form their own groups outside of Colby. And, then it's kind of off of our campus, if you will. But, they really do an amazing job of building community amongst each other. Oh, Katie, that's a great question. If you just go to live chat, go to kolbe.org and chat with them, they can resend, there's an email that gets sent about clubs, and then you just click on the link and you can sign up for any club that you'd like. So, and most of them accept club registrations this late. I think the only one that might not is newsletter, but they'd still probably let you join and just observe in anticipation of next year. Newsletter is almost like a class, just because they learn how to do reporting, and there's just kind of a process to publishing and all that kind of thing. So it's a little harder to join mid-year, but okay. And our Christmas concert was awesome this year. We have a talent show that's always in May. So the Christmas concerts at the end of first semester. And then the talent shows at the end of second semester. So it's always fun. I was trying to get my 9th grader to like get his juggling skills to a point where he could actually like try out, but we're not quite there yet. So we'll see. All right. Okay. So next part, just a little overview of the curriculum. So this is a look at our theology courses and curriculum. We use the Faith and Life series in grades 6 through 8. In 7 and 8, it also includes a thorough treatment of Bible history. So in 7th grade, they do Old Testament Bible history, and then New Testament in 8th grade. And it's a great prep for when they get to 9th grade and they do Intro to Sacred Scripture, which is a scriptural study of the scriptures. And in high school, we use the Father Lowe texts along with other primary source materials, encyclicals, and so forth. Like I said, 9th grade's Intro to Sacred Scripture, 10th grade's Mass Sacraments and Prayer, and then 2nd semester's Church History 1. Then in 11th grade, we do Apologetics and Church History 2 in 2nd semester, and then Morality in semester 1 for 12th grade, and Church History 3 in the 2nd semester. We also added a World Religions course. It's an elective. We don't necessarily, so the first 4 classes listed there are kind of our core classes. And World Religions still counts as a theology, but it's more of an elective type theology. And it's going to be a really cool course because it's going to have a lot of like apologetics weaved into it. So pretty exciting course. If you want more information, I can point you in the right direction. All right, and then English. So one thing we do is we separate English and literature as far as credits go and courses for in our school. We do have classical composition as an option. And then we use the Voyages in English for English grammar in 6 through 8. Classical composition is kind of like an elective course. And then in English 9 through 12, we do a thorough treatment of grammar, logic, and the rhetoric stages. High school English 1, composition and grammar. And then high school English 2 is composition and logic. And then high school English 3 is composition and rhetoric. There's a lot of emphasis on oral presentation in that particular class. And then creative writing and honors creative writing are offered in as a 12th grade class. Moving on to literature. For literature 6 through 8, we have select novels. For example, in 7th grade, we just finished off in our household Christmas Carol, which is funny because it's not Christmas. But we also did Tom Sawyer, Anne of Green Gables last semester, Gift of the Magi. And then next year in 8th grade, Fellowship of the Ring will make its appearance. I know my son's really looking forward to that because he's already read it and he loves it. I think every Colby student is like a huge Tolkien fan. It's so funny. And then also in 7th grade, we do a short story unit, and then we do a poetry unit in 8th grade. And then moving on to 9th through 12th grade, we do ancient Greek literature in 9th, ancient Rome in 10th, literature of Christendom, which is medieval, in 11th, and then modern era lit in 12th. We also offer honors options for 9th through 11th lit. And then instead of honors modern era lit, we have a AP literature course offered instead, which uses some of the same books in modern lit. It's a very Colby style AP literature course, classic literature. And then anybody who's a transfer student, so going into 10th grade, we'd recommend taking Ancient Western Lit, which studies the best of the Greek and Rome years in 1 year. I don't want to say it's a survey course because that makes it sound like that we read a textbook. You're still reading primary sources, but you're just going to do kind of the best of those 2 years. Moving on to history, and you'll notice here that our history and literature courses really pair together nicely. So when they're doing Greek literature in 9th grade, they're also studying Greek history, and then Roman history in 10th, and then era of Christendom, which is medieval, in 11th, and then modern and US history in 12th. We also offer some non-primary text courses. So all of our real classical core classes do use primary texts. But we do have a couple of those other options using the Catholic Textbook Project books, if you're familiar with those. So for high school credit, you've got Western Civ 1, Western Civ 2, and AmCiv. We also offer as an elective government, which is just a 1 semester course. Moving on to math, we use the Sadlier Progress in Math in middle school. And then starting in Algebra 1, we use Forster Algebra 1. We just adopted a new geometry, Discovering Geometry, and we are adopting a new AP Calculus book as well this year. We offer AP Calculus as well as AP Stats. We offer AP Calculus AB. We do not offer BC at this point. But lots of honors options for our math courses: Honors Algebra 1, Geometry, Honors Algebra Trig, Honors Pre-Calc. And all of our AP courses also receive a 1-point boost on the GPA, as well as our honors courses. Oh, and math labs. We offer something that allows students to get like a little extra live time with the teachers. So if they're taking Algebra 1, they can register for the Algebra 1 lab, and that gives them a little more practice. There's no extra homework. It's just more live time with the teacher to practice more problems, ask questions, that kind of thing. And so new this year, we added Algebra 2 lab. Moving on to science. One thing that kind of separates us from other Catholic homeschool curriculum providers is that we do use secular textbooks for science. And then we'll weave in Catholic Church teaching where it is appropriate. In fact, in biology, read a whole extra text on to make sense of evolution. That we're switching to, it's like a collection of essays by Pope Benedict. One's on evolution, I think one's on cloning, stem cell research maybe. So it's all brings in kind of the Catholic Church teaching on what those things are. And you'll notice we have a lot of honors options as well for science, and several AP options as well. And I wanted to point out here that we also offer AP computer science, which technically is a science, but technically not. So I throw it up here, and I also put it on the elective slide just to make it noticeable. Okay, going back to Jessica's question, is the math lab counted as another course in registration? That's correct. So you could enroll in 5 online classes, and your 6th course could be a math lab. But you could also enroll in 6 online courses and add math lab and pay the a la carte price for it. So depending on how many you decided you wanted. So I think like if you did the math, it's like you say, if you do math lab, which is not as expensive as a full class, you save like $5. Whereas if you do 6 online classes, it's basically you're getting like the 6 online class for about half price. So it just depends on what you want to go for. Okay, and Carrie asked, for high school, how's the honors material taught to honor students if they enrolled in the online class along with the Colby course students? And are there honors in AP classes for the homeschool and self-paced courses? Okay, so I'm going to answer your second question first. There are honors classes, both for homeschool and self-paced, but not AP. So AP courses, the way that they get the AP designation, the teacher has to actually get their course approved. So they're approved on a teacher by teacher basis, not course by course basis. So for anything that's AP, if you want the AP designation on your transcript, you have to actually take an AP approved class. Now that said, anybody can take a test. So you could basically prepare a student to take an AP exam. It might still just say chemistry on the transcript, but they could still take the AP chemistry exam, and colleges may or may not accept their score depending on how well they do, or colleges are all over the place on how they accept AP credit. Then back to your other question. So it sounds like you're probably familiar with our program a little bit. We had a change in our program this year. In previous years, our core and honor students for our high school humanities courses, they were in the same class, and then honor students attended a seminar as like a separate, like we'd pull them out and do a separate seminar that met every couple weeks. We're no longer doing that. We have separate sections for honor students and core students. And that's really so we could start getting our arms around the workload a little bit with the core students. Our core humanities classes are pretty rigorous as they are. They really are probably honors classes. They are honors classes kind of as they stand. So we're separating those out so we can really focus in on those core classes a little bit and get our arms around the workload. It's a really good question. Okay, on to foreign languages. We offer Latin, French, and Spanish. And new this year in middle school, we are offering Intro to French and Intro to Spanish. I anticipate that next year we will have a second level for each of those as well. That would then allow students to jump right into French 2 or Spanish 2 if they did well in those, or they could start over in French 1 or Spanish 1. We also have Conversation Lab. Conversation Lab is an extra meeting with the teacher, an extra live meeting where they will be able to practice their conversation skills a little more, go over a little more grammar. And my son's in French 2 lab this year and just loves it. So it's a great way to practice those speaking skills. That's a good question. We do offer middle school Greek in the homeschool format, and we have offered Greek in the past online. Dr. Almanzar has taught it. My 9th grader really wants to take Greek too, so he's also asking. It could get offered again. We ought to offer it, in my opinion. But, you know, there's only so many languages that you can offer before you end up having like 3 students in each class, and then that's no fun for anybody. Okay, a couple of elective courses here. Fine arts, we offer 1 semester courses in drama 1 and drama 2. We also offer health and government. I think I mentioned government. Health actually can count as a PE credit. And then other electives, academic electives that we offer, AP Computer Science, Philosophy, and World Religions. I talked a little bit about homeroom earlier. I just wanted to mention here that we do have homeroom for each grade level. Homeroom 12 is only first semester. So they really focus on the college application process. So it's a really great thing to kind of lead them through that. We do some test prep in homeroom 10 and 11. And then homeroom 9 is really focused on getting them acclimated to high school, study skills, that sort of thing. And middle school is a smorgasbord of trying to get middle schoolers, get their executive functioning going, right? Like figuring out organization skills, all that sort of thing, to hopefully prep them for high school. This slide shows an estimate of how many hours your student might spend on a particular class in a subject area. And this includes the live class time. So, and I'm looking at this going, it seems about right. For me, my kids do it a little bit faster than this. They're fast readers. But so for example, in middle school, we'd expect, including live class, for a student to spend 3 to 4 hours a week on that class. So, and I would say that's true. My 7th grader's in Religion 7. He's got Bible history reading, St. Joseph Baltimore Catechism, and the Faith and Life book. So yeah, I mean, if he focuses, he's definitely on like the 3.5 to 3 hour window, I would say. And this is for an average student, right? Like some students are gonna take longer, they're take longer to read or write or whatever. And so you kind of got to know your child in that respect. Honors or AP courses, you'd expect to add another 2 to 3 hours for each class. And I'd say that's probably true. I have my son taking honors geometry. He would definitely say that's true. So, okay. All right, so last part of this presentation is just going over the enrollment options. So you've probably heard a couple of comments here on like 6 courses being included from Jessica. She's pretty familiar with Colby because she's got some kids in the K-5 program. But basically we've got 4 different enrollment options in the 6 through 12 program. So full-time online K-5 is a separate program. You cannot enroll in courses there a la carte. It's just kind of like a set program. You have 2 teachers and they do everything. And you're with the same like set of kids. When you get to 6 through 12, you graduate into having a little more flexibility, choosing your schedule, choosing which classes you want to do online, which ones you prefer to do homeschool or self-paced, or maybe you're doing all of them online. My kids are doing 7 classes online, and it is a lot, but they're doing really well. And it's worked out really perfectly for our family. So the way it works, our full-time online option includes up to 6 online self-paced or self-paced plus courses or labs. And then all of your homeschool courses. So if you decide you want to do a homeschool course as a elective, you can do that, and it's included in that tuition. And then we have and one thing to point out here, depending on, if you're familiar with last year's full-time online option. So last year only included 5, so now you're getting 6. It also includes labs. And then it also includes your honors and AP fees, which was not included last year. So it's a pretty good deal. It includes a book credit, of course, all of your grading, because your teachers are doing your grading. You're automatically enrolled in the diploma program, so you get all your transcripts. It includes tuition for the homeroom class, of course, the assigned family advisor, and it includes your tech fees. So there's a lot of things included in that full-time package. It's supposed to be like, that package is designed for you to just kind of plug and play, like, okay, here's the tuition for the year, and I'm gonna get all my stuff all in one place. But if you're somebody that's like, yeah, I think I'm going to do like 1 or 2 online classes, full-time standard or full-time flex might be the option for you. Full-time standard and full-time flex are almost exactly the same programs, except one includes the book credit. So the book credit is basically a credit at our bookstore to purchase all of the books that you would need for a particular student. So I believe, don't quote me, I think it's $500. The book credit, it includes a $500 book credit, the full-time online package, as does the full-time standard. It might be $550. And I think it depends on if it's like the first student, it's like probably more, and the additional students probably less. And then full-time flex is the same thing as full-time standard, but no book credit. How do you get the book credit? You should be issued one from the bookstore. So if you enrolled for next year, I think book credits are going to start getting issued on April 5th. What's Monday? April 4th? Yes. So if you've already enrolled for next year, you should be getting your book credit next week sometime. And it'll come with a like a sales draft that has like a list of all the books that go with the courses you enrolled for, so that you can just click on it and purchase it. It makes it pretty streamlined. Okay, so back to full-time standard and full-time flex. So there's a set price. It's around $400. That is your full-time tuition that enrolls the student in the diploma program and that sort of thing. And then any online or self-paced courses that you enroll in, you pay for a la carte. So those are extra on top of that full-time standard or full-time flex tuition. So the full-time flex tuition is around $400. Full-time standard is like around $800, but it includes a substantial book credit. And then there's also part-time enrollment. So with part-time enrollment, you do not get your own advisor, and you're not enrolled in the diploma program. So this would be if you have another school that you're enrolled in and you just want to take 1 or 2 classes. Like sometimes we have students that are at, a really good Catholic school or like a hybrid school that doesn't offer, honors math, and they really want their child to take honors math, so they can do that with us. So with high school part-time enrollment, usually families are doing that only if they've got another school that they're reporting classes to, or if they're putting together their own homeschool transcripts. So, and then full-time online tuition, let me I'm going to send you guys some links so you can go look, because it's going to depend on what grade level you have and all that kind of thing. And that way you can look and see exactly what you're looking at. Anything else I need to point out on this one? I think we're good. And this is just, I put up this bookstore slide in case I forgot to talk about it, but our bookstore carries everything that you would need as far as text. The only thing it doesn't include is like we don't carry the hands-on biology lab kit. Oh, I forgot to mention the hands-on biology lab back on the biology slide. We offer hands-on biology lab and hands-on chemistry lab, like a full-blown lab where you buy a kit. I mean, my son's about to dissect a fetal pig in 2 weeks that came in his kit, and it's been in there the entire semester. So I keep asking the teacher when I'm like, when's that happening? Because I need to like probably leave the house that day. But anyway, so we don't sell those kits in our bookstore, but we have we partner with Quality Science Labs, and they have a kit that's just for Kolbe Academy, so you just click and buy it. But yeah, other than that, we carry, like all the books and everything that you would need to do our courses. Your enrollment also, if you enroll full-time in some capacity, it includes a ID card. You just have to upload a picture, and then we mail that to you. I don't think I ordered one for each of my kids, and I think Colin, my 9th grader, might have used it for his when he went to get his driver's permit. But I think that's the only time he's used it. But I mean, that was an important thing. I could see them maybe needing to use it when they go take like the SAT or ACT for the first time. So there's lots of reasons to have them. Okay. So this is my last slide. I know I had some questions on diplomas, so I will circle back to that and talk about diploma requirements for a little bit, but I did want to plug that next week we have a student shadow week from April, starting on Monday, April 4th. And you can choose up to 4 online classes to shadow if you're not currently a student. And it's really a great way to see how the format works. Our course registration is already open. And I would recommend registering for courses as soon as possible if you haven't already, just to get your pick on the schedule. We do have sections that are already closed just because everybody's registered as soon as registration opened it opened on March 8th. But there's still, at this point in the game, if a class fills up, I'm going to open another section of things. And I have already done that. I had to open another section of Theology 9 and Theology 10 and Latin 2 and geometry. So we keep an eye on that, and we'll open things if we need to. It's just, if you want your pick of the schedule, it's a good idea to get registered for courses sooner rather than later. Okay, I'm going to circle to diploma requirements, but I did want to give people an opportunity to ask any questions they might have at this point on the presentation up until now. Let me go find my... I'm glad my voice held out. I can tell it's going. Okay, so the Colby diploma. This is as of, let's see, February. So if you have any new high schoolers or any incoming 9th graders will follow this track. If you have a rising 10th through 12th grader that was with Colby this current school year, you have the option to be grandfathered into the old diplomas. But I have a current 9th grader that could technically be grandfathered into the old diplomas, but we're going to choose to go with the new one because they do come with a whole bunch of awards, which is really great. So I'll talk about those. Lydia would like to have the sign up for the shadow week, and let me see if I can get that real quick. I know I promised you guys some other links as well. In fact, here's tuition. Here's the tuition link. And then, let's see. Second here. I've got too many windows up in here. Okay, Shadow Week. It's because I zoomed out. Okay, here we go. Now I'm on admissions events. All right. Okay, so that's Shadow Week stuff. So back to the diploma. Okay, so this is our recommended diploma track. 4 years of theology, 4 years of English or literature. It does require at least 2 of those to be literature, and then the other 2 years can be English or literature. So if you remember back to when I was showing you curriculum, we do English and literature separately. And then history, you need 3 years. 1 must be a world history, 1 must be a US history. Math, 3 credits up through algebra 2. Science, 3 credits, including bio with lab and chemistry with lab. 2 years of foreign language, both which must be in the same language. So it means you have to get through, either Spanish 2 or Latin 2. And then academic electives. So this is where we took our diploma requirements, and we used to have like a 3-year foreign language requirement. And we, instead of requiring 3 years, we now require 2, because that we did a lot of research on what colleges are requiring. And even I even looked at Harvard's, and they're only requiring 2 years for admission. So we felt like, okay, ours is a little bit over the top. We'll dial that down, but then we made it an academic elective. So now a student, if they want to take a 3rd year of language, they can use that as their academic elective. But now it's really up to the student to kind of take charge of their own courses in terms of what they want to take for those electives. Okay, so you've got 5 academic electives. And of course, if you end up taking a 4th year math, a lot of people end up taking a 4th year math, 4th year science, 4 years of foreign language. Those can all get wrapped into that academic elective. And then an additional elective, which can be academic or non-academic, such as visual performing arts, for example. So, and then physical education, 2 years, visual performing arts, 1 year, that can be drama, art, music. And then the awards, let me show you the awards a little bit. See if I can open this. Can you guys see, I've got Colby's website up here, Kolbe Academic Awards. Is it showing on my, okay, thank you. Okay, so the St. Maximilian Kolbe Award. So this is the award that you get for taking basically Kolbe's core classes across the board. So you're going to be taking 4 years of theology, but it has to be these 4 specific courses. So so that world religions course, you can't sub that out. 4 years of literature, the Greek, Roman, literature of Christendom, modern era, got to take all 4 of those and so on. You got to get up through pre-calculus with math. You take physics with science. 4 years of foreign language, which can be 2 years of Latin and then 2 years of a modern language, or it could be 4 years of Latin, for example, and then an additional academic elective. So all of these things, if you do all of these courses, you end up getting an award, which is going to be a chord at graduation. So this is kind of the most prestigious award, I would say. And it's, I think it's great. I'm excited about it. All right. St. Ignatius is similar to St. Max. So you really only qualify for St. Max or St. Ignatius. St. Ignatius is like this, but you have a little bit less of requirement. You just have to complete a minimum of 24 Kolbe courses, but they don't have to be those core classes. So maybe a student doesn't get all the way up through pre-calculus, or up through physics, but so you don't have to get all those courses like checkbox, but 24 of your courses are actual Kolbe courses. Nothing's like a transfer course or alternate curriculum or something like that. Okay, St. Thomas Aquinas Award. I love this one too. So this one focuses on our humanities. So to get this award, you have to take 4 years of theology, all 4 core classes, literature and history, 4 years each. And then on top of that, you have to take at least half of those at an honors or AP level. So you'd have to take, honors literature 2 years, and then honors history 2 years, and maybe honors theology 2 years. Okay, so that's the Humanities Award. St. Albertus Magnus, love this one too. This is science. So with this award, you're taking 4 years of math and science, and you're taking up through calculus and up through an AP or upper level science elective. And half of those also need to be honors level. And then finally, St. John Paul II Award. This one is focused on foreign language. You have to take up through 4 years of language plus at least 2 years of Latin. So it's really 6 credits. So I think this one's a tough one, but if you're a linguist, it's not. So if your child's a linguist, they're going to want to take Latin plus some other language. So, what's great is you can kind of choose which awards you think your child would be most inclined towards and work towards that. You can start out trying to get all of them at the beginning. And then sometimes, as life goes, you go, okay, I'm just going to focus on this one or that one. Okay, so that is diploma types and awards. And I think that's all I have. Does anybody have any additional questions they might have? Oh, that's a really good question, Katie. So if you're taking at least one online or self-paced course, we do give you a place to upload your PE and music, fine arts materials like in Schoology. So you'll see, next year that when we make that course available, it's like an assignment that you can just turn in, what they're doing for PE. And for PE credit, it's very basic. Like you don't have to like turn in a video proving what they've done. Now, if it's an academic course, such as like theology or literature or something like that, where you're using alternate curriculum and that's gotten approved to use, then you do need to turn in sample work to that, and that goes through your academic advisor. All right, anybody else have any questions? And I apologize because I think most of the questions are coming through straight to me. So if I was assuming you guys had seen the questions, but you might not be. So Katie asked, do self-paced courses get turned in through the advisor? And yes, at this point in time, self-paced courses, they're just kind of like homeschool courses, but they're done in like a digital format. So Lydia asked when this semester starts. Let me get you a link to our school calendar so you can kind of there you go. I'll put this link to the school. Lydia, that's a good question. I don't know that we can necessarily speak to what international universities require, but I can give you information on our accreditation. We do have the top accreditation that is available to regular high schools as well. So, if it's accepted if international schools accept, other high school accreditations, they should accept ours. But it's always good to double check because sometimes international school, they just have every country's different. Let's just put it that way. We're accredited through Cognia. There's our accreditations page. So Cognia is our main accrediting body. And then we're also accredited through NAPSIS. So yeah. And our semester this year starts August 16th. So the 15th is a holy day. So we are closed on holy days of obligation. We are regionally accredited. Yeah, Cognia is a regionally accrediting body. So Lydia asked if Cognia was regionally accredited. Yeah. So you should be in good shape. Yep. And our entire school is regionally accredited, whether you're doing, the school at home courses with a course plan, or you're enrolled in the online school, or a combination of both. It all goes on one transcript and is all credited under the same place. So, okay, well, thank you guys so much for your participation. Lydia had another question. Are there makeup classes? Okay, so you mean credit recovery. The way that we do credit recovery is through our self-paced program. So that is how you would, like over the summer, like if you needed to make up an Algebra 1 class, you could retake that. You could also re-enroll in an online class, but you would have to take it for the whole year. So if for credit recovery specifically, I'd recommend doing that over the summer, but our self-paced courses can be started at any time, and the student has a whole year to finish it, so they can work on it at their own pace. Okay. All right, well, I'll hang out for another minute or two in case any other questions come up, but I appreciate everybody's participation today. And if you have any other questions, you can go to live chat at kolbe.org, or you can email admissions@kolbe.org. I'd highly encourage you to sign up for the Shadow Week next week. It's a really great way to get to know our program even more in depth. So thank you very much. Katie asked if with self-paced work, if there's an option to have teachers check the work. Yes, so we have a self-paced plus program. In the self-paced plus program, teachers grades pre-selected assignments. It's usually the exams and the papers. Now it wouldn't be like, daily homework that they check. But there are self-graded quizzes, weekly self-graded quizzes built into the self-paced courses that could provide for a check-in for you, so that you wouldn't have to check all the daily work. If it were me doing it, what I would do, like for a math course, is with the assignments, I would have the student self-grade some of their math homework and then come to you with any questions that they didn't understand. And then have the teachers grade the major assignments, which is what Self-Paced Plus does. They grade the tests, papers, that kind of thing. So Abigail asked, how would students complete online courses if they have to travel during the school year? So online school can certainly go wherever you go. I think that's probably a conversation you should have with one of our academic advisors to see just what kind of interruptions you would be looking at for that student. If they can't attend class on a regular basis, that could be problematic. If it's just here or there, that's not a problem. And it's all about whether you think they can keep up with their work. So it may be a case where maybe a student takes 1 or 2 online classes, and then the other ones are self-paced where they can do them on their own time. But it really just depends on just how much the travel is going to interrupt the actual school day. With my own children, we've done a lot of travel, and my dad was sick last fall, and so we were able to go and be with him for a good amount of time, and they just brought all their books and did their classes, and I can bring my work wherever I go, so that was really great. So it just kind of depends on what the purpose is for the travel. If you think they're not going to be able to be in class for weeks at a time, that would be problematic. So it'd be a good conversation to have with one of our advisors. Good question.